how limited are we really to talk on YouTube about things like climate change? One wonders because a lot of facts about this, about CO2 and all of it, that people need to research for themselves and consider for themselves, is a very important part of the whole process. No matter where you are or what you are, you involve yourself in your own research into anything that's going in the media or politics or corporate sector or any ways propagated to create a sort of a following, a trend. This idea of trending and following and all that. So people just follow and they look at the screen and follow the next, and they should forget to switch the screen up or use it for the actual good purposes, and in all your research, what you need on any subject. Climate change is one. CO2 in particular is something that everyone should really study far more than just leaving it to the media or orthodox opinions, because an orthodox opinion is always the case when powerful entities want to control opinion before their own corporate ends. The Catholic Church was like that before Martin Luther and all that. And then the corporate system and some of the political systems, depending on where you live and the ideology your political system is run on. So these ideas that we can all believe what someone tells us on climate change makes so little sense if we can work things out ourselves. And it doesn't matter what we work out, the fact is this is about democracy, it's about the development of your own identity within a democracy. They want to give you an identity by some mark or some indication that you are a number, etc., because that's the corporate system works. It's all about numbers. You go right back to Roman times. You used to call people the numbers, and that's what they were. That's the head counts, that's all they were. But if you want to be more than just a number, you want to be independent, you have to do research, and you have to and it gets back to basic. What is geography? The word geography, what does it mean in relation to climate change, for instance? Well, climate change is really, in fact, a geographical study, because geography is a scientific sort of all sorts of things. It involves meteorology, it involves geology, it involves the biosphere, it involves the people, it involves everything. So geography is a really good way to get an opening in your mind about how the world works yourself, so that you can. It is a very important thing to do about that, because then you can be involved when you can be more academically involved in how the world works, its actual nature of it. Not what you imagine nature is, what the actual nature is. When you do that, you become more of a part of the world. It's like more of a spiritually part of the world. And it's nothing to do with religion, it's to do with a feeling one gets about when you really understand this planet Earth, how amazing it is, and that there's any life at all on here, and all that, then you have to understand that you can sort of get your mind around a lot of the problems or the way it is in some places, why some places think differently to others, and why some people in view of climate change might have a totally different opinion to others. What is that opinion? What is that opinion about? Why do people have different opinions on climate change? Because it's a really, really good idea to have that, because it's only a static opinion on climate change. We've only got one opinion, the corporate opinion, the political opinion. Then it's not the true picture. It can't be the true picture of climate change, because there's other angles to anything that must be looked at, observed, and analysed, so that you understand that the climate change conundrum, the question about it, is looked at from all sides, from like a circle. Climate change here, but like the Earth, should we get a satellite and look around from all angles of what the meaning of this climate change means, and where does it mean? What's it mean for different people in different locations of the world and in different habitats where they've lived for, where they've evolved, and all nations are involved in very peculiar and particular habitats, what's created their culture, have been a great deal of influence in the creation of those sorts of cultures. And many people are at different stages of their technical development, and so there's no good expecting all people on Earth to understand all of it, even climate change, or believe it the same as other people. Some people do. That would be a very futile and dangerous concept to have everyone just believing exactly what they're told to believe by the media or politics, whatever, on any particular thing. But in particular on climate change, because there are many parts of it that don't seem to be discussed to me, and that is, there's the corporate part, and then there's the organic part. The corporate part doesn't quite, it understands how to manipulate organisms with gene splitting, splicing and all that sort of stuff. We know that. But can there be a discussion about the purely organic part of the world, including humanity, that doesn't have no wish to whatsoever to be totally interfaced with machinery? And there is no talk of that. There has to be a sort of a free choice in that regard, because that's a safety issue in regards to the human race itself. It's like preserving. You have to preserve natural organisms in this planet if you're going to be sustaining. If you're talking about sustaining and greening and all that stuff, you have to sustain the natural organisms, including humans, not just gradually install this total control system of humans, because that then takes humans out of the environment, and humans are very much part of the natural environment. They're part of nature themselves. They may have adapted intelligence and creative thinking and all that, but they are part of intelligence themselves. And it's up to individuals, of course, to do their own and create their own mindset, their own mentality about any particular issue, because that's how democracy, or any society, it doesn't have to be a democracy, but that's how any society that wants to really advance, not just advance technologically, but philosophically. So it balances the technological advancement, which is crazy at the moment, but wherever it is, there's no balance in any country, wherever it is, with an organic balance. And I suggest this is destabilising the world, because there's a lot of people they don't know what to do with, but because they're only thinking in one way, it's about what to do with surplus humans to the employment situation, or they think that there's going to be less need for humanity in certain jobs, but then there's no reason that much of humanity cannot be employed in another way, in a more organic way, sustainable, social, organic economics. And that changes thinking about climate change itself, because all the corporate work with windmills, solar, all the technical development, wonderful. I might get a flying car in a few years' time, so go for it. But then, when it comes to the rest of it, the growing organic food, sustaining organic humans without being interfered with, and having health is wealth. Health is wealth. As the criteria, that's the sort of the motto, the founding of the principle of this organic life. Health is wealth. It's a founding principle, because if you look after your health, it looks after all sorts of other things. Because you will not overconsume. You don't need to. You know that some physical work is good for you, because not all physical work is boring. Most physical work, actually, when it's productive, is far more interesting and far more rewarding than sitting in an office doing that, no matter how much money you get. At the end of the day, you get very ill sitting on a chair and doing this thing, but you can be quit. You don't have to overwork. There's no idea that we all have to overwork if we work in the fields. It's simply not true. It's a great pleasure to work in a garden for those who want it and develop a gardening. And so there's, in the organics of climate change, that planting biomass, using those people who want to, using wastewater and taking water out of the air, is the necessary parallel to the technocratic, bureaucratic, corporate push for domination of the world by a purely corporate view of the world. Which is, it is so natural to have no other systems but one. It's so natural to have that anywhere, because you need a balance. You can't say we're just into sustainability and greening, and that. Where is this in all of the politics in the Western world? Where is the greening army, the army of people recruited into actually developing biomass, to doing real green things, real green jobs, and really greening the planet, and really taking CO2 out of the air in the most purposeful manner is recycling it into the biomass. That must be a greater effort, and if you're concerned about CO2 and climate change, for many reasons, just a simple corporate one, minor corporate one, which is all about creating ever more financial currency towards the corporate sector. But it's missing the point, and it's actually missing out a lot of fun as well. It doesn't realise there's fun in creativity and allowing people who are willing to work together to create areas that can be created as a regenerational biomass, what's organic. And this is a parallel system. So looking at climate change only in one way, it clouds the sort of discussion. It limits it to just a few in the media, and it spoils the whole thing for everyone, all the young people concerned. It spoils it for them because they only have doubt and all that. There's no hope. There's no saying, oh, well, look, we can join this thing and create this part of the green. And that's the balance in what needs to be acquired by the powers that be, and the governments can work together and say, okay, we don't have to be told this is another way of doing things without any over-regulated. It's not necessary to work in gardens. It's silly.